And a very happy Friday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs across the glass.
Johnny, it's time for a brand new episode of Gavin Newsom's podcast. This is Gavin Newsom. Let's see who he's talking to this week. Really sounds like porno music.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is Gavin Newsom. And this is Anthony Scaramucci.
The Mooch?
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I think I figured out how this came to be.
Oh, yeah?
Think about it. Gavin Newsom was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle. After those two split up, she started dating the Mooch.
Oh, really?
And it was the Mooch that was in between Newsom and Donald Trump Jr.
Well, if Gavin's going to start interviewing all his Eskimo brothers, maybe Donald Trump Jr. will be the next guest.
He could be. I'm on his show on Monday, so maybe I'll ask Don if he's going to do the Gavin Newsom podcast.
Oh, you really should. By the way, Gavin is getting real relaxed as a 5-episode podcaster now. He's starting to curse.
How do you want me to address you, sir? Governor Gavin, how do you want me to talk?
Gavin works. I mean, I get, walk the streets with me. I'll get asked, I'll get everything. So I'll take
Well,
Gavin,
yeah.
buddy.
Can you imagine what life must be like as Gavin Newsom? After you shut down all the schools, shut down all the businesses, you walk the streets, and Vox Populi, man, they don't hold back.
Well, you remember that video of this guy in San Francisco, JJ, the one that films some of the crazy things that are going on the streets. And JJ is running up to Gavin as he's walking up the Tenderloin for a photo op. Gavin, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do about this? And Gavin won't stop. He's like, I don't know, JJ.
Now, I told you I went out to spring training in Arizona to watch the Angels play in, I think it was late February, early March. And if you go early on in spring training, you can get really good tickets. So my tickets to the game were about 2 rows behind Artie Moreno, the owner of the Angels, who all the fans hate. And it was interesting to sit 2 rows behind him because you would not believe the things that strangers would say to this man as he's sitting there with his wife just trying to watch the game. The language. Oh, my God, the language. And I get it if you're some anonymous hack on Twitter or anonymous troll on Twitter and you want to razz the owner of the team. But for heaven's sake, he's like 5 feet away from you and you're saying the most horrific things.
Maybe it's the booze. Maybe it's just something about being at sporting events. But for some reason, fans at sporting events, whether it's the players or the owners, they have no fear about saying what's on their mind.
No. But if that's what Artie Moreno gets, can you imagine what Gavin must get?
Oh, yeah.
That is something we are mindful of.
How do you want me to address you, sir? Governor Gavin, how do you want me to talk?
Gavin works. I mean, I get, walk the streets with me. I'll get asked, I'll get everything. So I'll take
Well, yeah.
Gavin, buddy.
So later on tonight, I'm doing The Issue Is with Alex Michelson for the Fox affiliates here in California. It'll be on KTTV here in L.A. and KTVU in the Bay Area. And I debated Gloria Allred, who is a longtime friend. She used to work at this radio station for many years, and Gloria and I have known each other for something like 20 years. We don't agree on politics, but she's a very lovely lady. And so we have the segment, which we're going to play some of later on in the program, and he has this kind of post-show video that he always shoots and puts on social media to promote the show. And we were talking about how it went, and she said some nice things about me. And I said, everyone loves Gloria. And then Alex goes, oh, no, not everyone. There are some people who really don't like her. And I said, yes, but the internet hates everyone. And that is also true. So we'll have some of that conversation coming up later on in the program. But it is Friday. There was a lot that went on this week in the world of politics, in the world of crime. We keep an eye on all of it for you. So, Randy, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
if the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, if there's a theme to today's blotter, it's bums behaving badly.
And we start with the most exciting kind of homeless encampment to talk about, a naked homeless encampment. Specifically, a naked homeless encampment outside of a school in Southgate in the Los Angeles area.
An appropriate place for a nudist homeless colony.
Now, whenever you think naked homeless encampment, you usually think ABC7's Mark Brown.
Naked and unafraid and just a feet away from the Beverly Hills border. As the tents go up, the clothes come off, and now outraged locals are fighting back against the nudity, narcotics, and negative impact on their businesses.
Are you happy to see me, or is that some stolen copper wire in your pocket?
I will go to the grave thinking the best piece of news copy ever written is when the tents go up, the clothes come off.
That was great.
Let's see what KTLA has to say about the new naked homeless encampment outside a school in Southgate.
Frustration and fear in Southgate.
Little alliteration to get out the gate there.
Not Mark Brown level.
Frustration and fear in Southgate, where parents say a growing homeless population next to a school is creating a dangerous situation.
KTLA's Rachel Menitoff is live in Southgate with more on what residents and parents are telling us. Rachel?
By the way, you know, if the residents went to the news with this, that means that they've tried going through local government for months and months and months.
Well, there's no point to that.
Sure, Micah. People tell us that ever since the adjacent library shut down for renovation, it's been attracting a growing transient population.
Wait a second. So there was a library full of homeless people. They destroyed the library, so now they have to renovate the library. And so now all the homeless people are deciding to camp out next to the school instead.
Well, the only thing left in that library is probably the condoms.
And San Miguel parents tell us that they camp out right next to the kindergarten and pose a danger. And things seemed to escalate this week when a person actually made their way onto school property.
What's going on there?
Maybe the homeless encampment is just a homeless theater troupe and they're doing a production of Hair.
They're here every morning, every night. Sometimes they don't even have clothes on.
There you go.
Naked bums.
Walking around like on drugs.
They're always tagging up the walls, and then they fight amongst themselves at night. Sometimes violent, like throwing stuff.
These are just a few of the first.
This is, of course, what's going on right outside a kindergarten.
Yeah, and you know, they're out there doing all that because of the high cost of housing.
That's what leads people to fighting with each other, spray painting the walls, and taking off the clothes and doing the drugs. Well, it's all about housing.
I know that if they raised the rent on me, I'd be involved in naked brawls outside of an elementary school.
I'm going to not save that as a drop.
These are just a few of the firsthand accounts from Southgate residents and parents at San Miguel Elementary School. They're talking about a disruptive and oftentimes dangerous transient community.
You know it's bad when they use the T word.
Yes. If they want you to be sympathetic to the bum, they refer to them as an unhoused Angelino or an unhoused Californian. If they want you to have a negative attitude towards the bum, they call them a transient.
That usually means they've committed some crimes.
Stationed outside a now vacant Leland Weaver library. This neighbor lives nearby. Out of fear for her safety, she wants to remain anonymous.
By the way, I love the fact that we've done how many library stories this week?
It's been a couple.
Everyone's hanging out at the library doing bad things, and none of them read.
There is no reading going on in California libraries. We've known this for a very long time. Libraries are de facto homeless shelters.
This neighbor lives nearby. Out of fear for her safety, she wants to remain anonymous, but says that because of the library...
Is she worried that the naked homeless people watch KTLA?
I love the fact that anytime there's a story like this, everyone's afraid to go on camera like they're a mob informant.
That because of the library's closure, its parking lot has become a campground for the homeless.
I'm up at 2 a.m. to go to work, so if my car's parked down the street, it's like, hurry up and get to your car because you don't know. I mean, they might be going through something, but it's scary.
Intoxication.
Might be going after you.
You don't want to be the next victim.
Intoxication, nudity, public urination, and other obscene behavior has been reported to Southgate police, but people say it's to no avail.
Shocking. Gee, I wonder why they had to go to the local news.
If you're willing to put up with this sort of thing, expect more of it.
So even in an age of Prop 36, even in an age of Nathan Hochman as the DA, depending on how your local government tells your police how to act, public nudity, not a crime. Public urination, not a crime. Public drug use, not a crime.
And this is what happens. If you have the wrong city council, what they do is they tell the cops to look the other way. Because the cops can blow the whistle every time they break the law, in which case these people are going to find a different place to be naked at. If they look the other way, like they're a pro wrestling referee, then they can get away with it as long as they want.
Woo! Elementary school parents were notified Tuesday that an unauthorized person even made their way onto school grounds before being escorted out by campus police.
I'm going to guess trespassing on a kindergarten, not a crime.
How are you supposed to learn anything if you have a naked homeless encampment over the other side of the fence?
I mean, you're going to learn something.
Yeah, but arithmetic isn't one of those things.
Our KTLA cameras were rolling as a woman from the encampment approached the school's front gate and tried engaging the guard.
You felt like it escalated yesterday when someone came on the premises.
Yeah. I just hope that it doesn't get too out of control.
It sounds like it already is.
Yeah, if naked bums are living on the other side of the fence and wandering onto school property during school hours, I'd say that's pretty much Armageddon.
LAUSD says it's aware of the situation and is working with local partners regarding solutions.
What does that even mean?
It means nothing. It means they're checking a box and they're saying they're doing something about it. But they're not going to talk to the cops and ask the cops to get aggressive with them. They're going to talk to social workers. They're going to talk to Barbara Ferrer. They're going to talk to all the wrong people.
It reiterates that safety protocols are in place and advises that if you see something, say something.
They did that.
I would love to know how many calls have come into that police department about this naked homeless encampment. It's not as if they're unaware of it.
They're probably getting calls on it every day.
They always tell you the same thing, too. If your home gets burglarized or there's some problem going on in your neighborhood, get lights, get cameras. I'm not trying to make an independent film. I don't want to be robbed.
It is a problem, and I feel like something has to be done about it. But plenty of people have complained, and nothing has been done.
And you know what that's going to lead to, Johnny?
Vigilantism. At some point, what's going to happen, this is a prediction, some bum is going to expose himself to a girl, and that girl is going to come home and tell her dad, and the dad is going to say, that's never happening again. And that dad is going to show up to that homeless encampment and all hell is going to break loose.
Louisville Slugger in hand.
And then the school and the politicians are all going to blame the father. And they're going to say, you need to go through the proper channels. You need to call it in. Well, if you call it in and they don't do anything about it, at some point, you're going to piss the wrong guy off. And when you piss the wrong guy off, they're not going to handle the problem the same way you would. So if you want them to go through the chain of command can't fail. You have to deal with it and not ignore it.
I've also been reaching out to Southgate PD to find out what it's doing in terms of enforcement in the area. I haven't yet heard back today. That's the latest from Southgate. I'm Rachel Menitoff. Share Micah, back to you.
There's the latest naked homeless encampment. And hopefully what happens here is what happened in naked homeless encampments past. As soon as this story hits the news, now they'll do something about it.
Well, I don't know what you do in Southgate if you have a naked homeless encampment and the cops won't bust it up. I guess you could pray for a cold front. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Ron writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Hey, John and Randy, there used to be a strip club called The Library in Orange County. They probably expanded into other cities, and the city councils got the two mixed up and sent the condoms to the wrong library.
That could be the case. And Randy, the weekend starts for us in about 2.5 hours. There will be no live shows on Saturday or Sunday, but if you want to listen to us over the weekend, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. It could be Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can go to either of our radio station websites, kabc.com or ksfo.com. And that way, if it's a Saturday or Sunday, you could pretend that it's
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
790 KABC welcomes Gilby Clark to the Canyon in Agora Hills on April 19th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, call in number 9 at 1-888-795-2222. Gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing.
And coming up next week, we're going on the road.
A week from today, we're going to Long Beach. We loved the remote that we did last November in Long Beach, and we're going back to Gladstone's, everyone. Come celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gladstone's Long Beach and the 50th anniversary of the Long Beach Grand Prix. Join us Friday, April 11th from noon to 3 for Fan Free Friday. We'll be broadcasting live from the beautiful patio right on the Rainbow Harbor in Long Beach. It's gorgeous, the view is amazing, and so is the food. Gladstone's Long Beach is a great location for a date night, delicious get-together with friends, a sunset cocktail, and family meals and celebrations. It's so much fun down there. Gladstone's Long Beach, located directly across from the Pike Shopping Center. Make a reservation and join us. If you didn't make it to the last one at Gladstone's, you got to come to this one. This is the most fun thing we're going to be doing all year. Check it out. Look for Gladstone San Diego at Seaport Village this fall.
And Randy, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this edition takes us to San Diego.
San Diego had back-to-back homeless fires under the freeways 2 days in a row.
And that is, of course, what led to the freeway melting in Los Angeles that shut down traffic for a couple of days.
I mean, Gavin says it was an arsonist, but here we are 2 years later. They never seem to have caught the arsonist.
Surprise, surprise.
But we do know we see homeless encampment fires under freeways on a daily basis. So what is San Diego going to do about it? Here is CBS 8 in America's finest city.
We are working to get answers about what's being done to address the delay in clearing encampments along San Diego freeways after another fire broke out near traffic this morning.
Today's fire comes just a day after another similar incident caused traffic headaches around the Coronado Bridge.
It's almost like these things are predictable.
I was just down there, too. That is one of the prettiest parts of San Diego. Coronado Island there.
Oh, yeah.
CBS 8's Alex Cheney is working for you tonight and joins us live with what he's learned from speaking with State Senator Catherine Blakespear.
Oh, I'm sure he's learned nothing.
They seem to never learn a thing.
Alex?
Yeah, that's right. I'm right where the 94 meets the 15.
It sounds like he's in lane number 2.
Yeah. Stay safe out there.
That's right. I'm right where the 94 meets the 15. And this morning, there was a fire in the homeless encampment just behind me. The debris, the trash is all still there. I'm working for you this evening trying to find out why Caltrans isn't clearing these encampments faster. Here's video from this.
Let me guess. This is another one of those. Caltrans says, no, that's city property. The city says, no, that's Caltrans property. You clean it up. No, you clean it up.
Well, it just goes to show you how full of BS they are. We just went through the most expensive fire in the history of the United States, biggest fire in the history of Los Angeles County. And all these public officials talk about how they want to get serious with fire prevention, and we're not going to put up with anything that's going to lead to a fire. Well, here you have encampments that are starting fire after fire after fire that not only could damage homes and buildings and those sorts of things, but it could bring down critical infrastructure like freeways, and they do not care.
How many fires did we have in Los Angeles County that were related to the homeless? No, just the city of Los Angeles last year? 18,000.
And half of them were started by the homeless encampments.
No, all of those are homeless fires.
Oh, half of the total number of fires were started by homeless encampments.
Yes.
Here's video from this morning of a small fire by the 94 and 15 interchange near Choyas Creek. And just yesterday, a fire beneath an I-5 underpass in the Logan Heights area disrupted morning traffic.
You shut down any part of the 5, even all the way down in San Diego, it screws up the rest of the state.
Well, but it screws up the state for the right kind of people. These are people going to work. These are taxpayers. These are homeowners. These are the people that Sacramento loves to punish. But if you're out there breaking the law and doing drugs and living in an encampment, you can start all the fires you want, and we're not going to bust up the encampment because it's a crime associated with poverty.
Caltrans is the government agency that is required to clean encampments. But from what we see, the current procedures often leave months between scheduled cleanups.
And that's directly something you can blame Gavin for, because that's Gavin's agency. He tells them where to go.
But he's totally checked out. He's not paying attention to things like this because he's hosting his podcast.
He's got to talk to the mooch.
I spoke to State Senator Catherine Blakespear over Zoom this afternoon about her proposed bill, SB 569.
Oh, here we go. A very simple problem that we're going to solve with legislation that, even if it was effective, doesn't take place for another year.
Great.
Which compels Caltrans to work with local agencies to clean up encampments in a timely manner.
You need a bill for that?
How about this? Enforce the laws. You're not allowed to do drugs in public. You're not allowed to camp in public. You're not allowed to loiter. You're not allowed to steal bikes. You're not allowed to steal mail. You're not allowed to steal Amazon packages. You can blow the whistle on any number of laws that are being violated in all of these encampments and shut them down if you want to. They just don't want to.
This is how constituent services is supposed to work. Residents get angry about a homeless encampment that's not being cleaned up. They call the local city. They don't do anything about it. They call the county. They don't do anything about it. If the call gets all the way to the state senator, you know what the state senator is supposed to do? Call Caltrans, start bleeping and saying, clean up the damn road.
We need Caltrans to be working with those local agencies, arm in arm, hand in hand, to solve the problem.
Oh, gosh. Here is another one.
She loves the cliches.
It really shouldn't be about finger pointing or saying this is somebody else's land. We should say,
you don't need a new law for this.
No, you do if what the authorities are doing is looking the other way, which is clearly what they're being told to do. But I seriously doubt it's the police department that came up with that idea on their own. The elected officials are the ones that tell them what they want. And if they don't want them busting up the encampments, then the cops just look the other way.
This is a humanitarian crisis, and we need to work together to solve it.
CBS.
There's another cliche.
Yeah, she's useless.
We cannot call this a humanitarian crisis anymore, because if it was, nobody's treating it like that.
And by the way, you call your elected officials, that's what you get. Oh, we're working on it.
CBS 8 has reached out to Caltrans repeatedly the last 2 days, and we have received no official statement. Senator Black.
They were busy. They were shutting down the freeway to run the street sweeper at 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, I wonder if they have podcasts too.
I bet you they do. Speaking of podcasts, do you know that the state of California is about to spend $250 million to rehab San Quentin and turn it into a modern facility? And in that modern facility are going to be brand new amenities like, and I'm not making this up, the San Quentin Podcast Studio.
You know what? I would listen to that podcast. Scott Peterson would probably have a huge following. Every woman with more than 4 cats would be listening to that podcast and sending him money.
From the murderer's mouth to your ears.
Senator Blakespear says it's important to keep pressure on government agencies.
That's what your job is.
This isn't going to get better. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
This is representative democracy. You are supposed to represent your constituents in San Diego, and if they call you saying about a massive homeless encampment that is a danger to the freeway and our livelihoods, you do something about it. You don't say, somebody should do something about that.
But here's the thing. It only works if you get voted out of office if you're not responsive to your constituents. But for whatever reason, people get upset at these things. They call and complain. They get ignored, and then they vote the same person in. You have to change the way you vote.
Part of your role as the watchdog of government is really good that you're pressing them because you're saying this matters to our...
No, that's what they're doing to you right now. She's applauding the local news for covering this story, but she's the one that can actually make something happen here. And her legislation's not going to do it.
Because you're saying this matters to our viewers, this matters to you as a reporter and the Fourth Estate that's keeping an eye on government. And so you're wanting a response. And I think that's really great.
So respond.
You know what she's doing here, actually? She's praising the local news channel because she doesn't want the spin to be negative on her. And she thinks she can influence the editorial slant of the report by praising them.
Because ultimately, how do we get movement from all levels, all people, stopping the finger pointing and just solve the problem? And
there's another cliche.
Yeah. You know why? Because you're not yelling loud enough.
And ultimately, it does come from this kind of pressure. So I'm really glad that you're doing that.
Senator Blackspear told me that Senate Bill 569 is being presented in front of the Transportation Committee in Sacramento on April 22nd.
Good for her. She's got legislation that doesn't actually do anything because she could call Caltrans right now and say, clean that crap up.
Another useless tool.
Reporting live, I'm Alex Cheney, CBS 8.
Thanks, Alex. And remember, if there's something you'd like us to look into, you can email us at workingforyou@cbs8.com.
Or pretty much wherever you live, your local news will cover something that your local government won't do anything about.
Right, because if you call the government, you get that woman. And let me tell you, I'd rather talk to AI. And Randy, we have time for one more addition to the Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this edition takes us to Northern California.
Firefighters trying to put out a fire in Stockton had an issue. The fire hydrants were broken. And this wasn't the fault of the electric company like in Los Angeles. No, this was the homeless that broke them.
Surprise.
For more, here's CBS in Sacramento.
Fire crews sound the alarm as they fight flames, saying water pressure issues made their jobs more difficult in a 3-alarm fire last night. We got a lot to get to. Thanks for joining us here at 10. I'm Hunter Sowards.
And I'm Marley Ginter. Now, we brought you that fire. It's breaking news last night at 10, showing you the flames as recycling materials and batteries burned inside.
Oh, no.
You notice, by the way, the theme to today's blotters, how they're completely disingenuous when they claim that they're going to do everything they can to stop fires from destroying everything in the state. And this is literally right in front of their face, and they just pretend like it's not there.
It happened on South California Street in South Stockton. This is right near McKinley Park and the Stockton Flea Market. Your reporter...
Oh. You want to spend a weekend at the Stockton Flea Market?
No. Although, to be fair to the people of Stockton, I don't want to spend the weekend at any flea market in any city.
That is true.
Your reporter covering San Joaquin County, you see right there, Esteban Reynoso, live outside that warehouse. Esteban, what are these challenges that firefighters faced?
Well, it's a very different scene out here tonight, Marley and Hunter. Stockton Fire say that when they got here on that Wednesday night, when this fire was still erupting and sending a lot of smoke into the air, that they tried to open up 3 fire hydrants around the area, but they were broken.
3 fire hydrants all around this recycling plant they couldn't use because they broken.
By the way, aren't there people in the government who are supposed to test these things on a regular basis to make sure they're operational?
Why, yes. Yes, they are.
Now they say that they had to fight the fire in a different way, all while that smoke was going into neighborhoods here in South Stockton. Flames stories tall at Zark Recycling Center Wednesday night. Thursday's daylight showing the damage. CBS 13 spoke with the owner on the phone, who says Stockton's code enforcement is forcing him to demolish multiple buildings on his property that were torched by the fire.
Oh, no.
Well, fire spreads.
So we have large piles of electronics, car batteries. We've got propane tanks that were also cooking off inside the warehouse.
But Stockton Fire's
probably one of the worst places to have a fire, a recycling plant full of toxic material.
Yeah, no kidding.
But Stockton Fire says they ran into problems when they first got on scene.
We had 3 hydrants that were broken.
The department says the hydrants they would have used to combat the fire had been tampered with, blaming the homeless for the issues.
Shocker, shocker, shocker.
And this is not something that's unique to Stockton. This is going on all over the state.
They tap into the fire hydrants. They tap into the local power supply. They're stealing the copper. All of the infrastructure that we need to be able to run cities is being destroyed by the homeless, and we're not doing anything about it.
We're pretending like it doesn't happen.
Stockton police confirmed with CBS 13 2 advised encampment cleanups happened on March 21st and 28th in the area. Neighbors say they're not surprised.
They see it every day.
Everyone in the neighborhood knows what's going on. It's just the politicians who claim, well, if you see something, say something, because we're unaware of it.
Because they turn the fire hydrants on, they use it to bathe, to wash their clothes. And when it was hot, they was turning it on to cool off.
So it's hot outside, they just turn a fire hydrant on to cool down?
They pop the hydrant.
Nature's AC?
Even as we were gathering video for the story, a man opened up one of those hydrants and took water out of it.
When the cameras were there?
Just remember, when you pay your electric bill, when you pay your power bill, the homeless are stealing power and stealing water every day and getting away with it because we don't want to criminalize poverty.
But don't worry, you're paying for it.
Last night, this forced firefighters to use 3 ladder trucks and bring in water tenders, putting 3,000 gallons a minute to put it out. But water wasn't the only worry. The fire sent plumes of smoke into the air. Neighbors were worried about wind pushing the fire and potentially toxic smoke east right into this neighborhood on 9th Street.
And firefighters need the equipment that they need to be able to respond these things as fast as they possibly can. And it's real tough to do that when you show up on scene and 3 hydrants are broken because of bums.
Well, and not only does it make your job a lot more difficult, you put the firefighters' health and safety at risk when they assume that there's infrastructure that's there that can help them fight the fire, and you show up and there's no water, you might be in a situation that's extremely dangerous.
It was too much smoke, though. You know, my girl right here, you know what I'm saying, she has asthma and stuff. She was out here choking. You know what I mean? It was coming through the house, and we were just wondering what it was.
She was choking.
Well, I can understand. There was a lot of smoking.
I want to hear that guy again.
It was too much smoke, though. You know, my girl right here, you know what I'm saying, she has asthma and stuff. She was out here choking. You know what I mean? It was coming through the house, and we were just wondering what it was.
Putting the entire neighborhood at risk because we don't want to upset the bums.
Par for the course.
Now, the department tells me that they do have an inspection company that goes out and makes sure that a lot of these hydrants are up to date. Now, one neighbor says that they want more services out here for some of the homeless population.
Oh, no.
We need more taxes, more money to spend to the phony baloney homeless organizations so they can make the problem worse. And there's even less working fire hydrants, fewer working fire hydrants than there were before.
We can blame the politicians, and we do blame the politicians, but we also have to blame ourselves because we vote for these people, because there are voters out there that say crap like this.
Want more services out here for some of the homeless population to just in case so that they don't tamper with those hydrants anymore.
Yeah, they still will.
It's just that you'd be taxed more.
But we just need more services.
Because there's a lack of services for the homeless. How many times have we voted to increase our taxes so we could spend more money on the homeless, and the problem just keeps getting worse and worse and worse?
Over and over and over, municipality to municipality, and it does not help.
All right, we've got 2 more hours coming up on the John Phillips Show. The Fix California Hour is next. We're going to play some sound for you of my debate with Gloria Allred on Fox 11 and Alex Michelson's program, The Issue Is. Royal Oaks, the ABC News legal analyst, stops by, and Daniel Gus, reporter covering L.A. City Hall as well. It's the John Phillips Show